This show is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find the other great shows on the network, head over to the deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Bev's Video Kingdom is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised.
Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by Jimmy's Gas and Go Murder. Whether you're on your way to disembowel those pesky neighborhood kids who stomped on your petunia garden or returning from dismembering your asshole Uncle Billy who totally deserved it, Jimmy's Gas and Go Murder has all the supplies and services you need to easily complete whatever horrifying killings you've got up your bloody sleeves. Need some rope and an axe for the quick tie-up and decapitation? We've got it. Need a spacious shower to wash all that blood off your killing coveralls or to finish off a pesky runner? We've got it. Need some top-shelf liquor to celebrate a new killing spree record? Jimmy's got it, and he'll even throw in a package of Oreos for you as you fill your murdermobile with the finest petrol this side of Le Mans. Anything you need to help you commit unspeakable acts of horror all across the countryside is available at Jimmy's, and you can be sure Jimmy won't say shit because Jimmy's awkward as fuck.
Dude.
Jimmy's Gas and Go Murder. Filling your auto with gas and your heart with bloodlust since 2003.
They did have an awesome selection of murder weapons at that gas station. Right?
I want to know what Jimmy did prior to 2003.
Bev's Video Kingdom. What's going on, fellas? How's everybody doing this evening?
I don't know. I was ready to talk football, but...
Well, yeah, we've kind of changed things up.
Oh, yeah, I guess we should address the fact that we said we were going to do Show Me the Money. And, wait, what is it called?
I think we threw a curveball, and we were going to watch some Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, we were going to watch Jerry Maguire.
Switch from football to baseball.
And we're doing League of Their Own, right?
As it says in the title of this episode that people just hit play on.
So... The guys said, we should do a movie for Halloween. And I said, awesome. And of course, I suggested Ernest Scared Stupid, which I always suggest. And then they were like, no, that movie's not scary enough for us. Why don't you pick something just a slight bit scarier than that? And I was like, all right, let me think of the movies that I like that scare me. And so I went with the 2003 High Tension or Hot Tension.
2005?
2003, and I think it was originally released, and then it may have gotten a re-release because it did okay, and then I think they released it in the Americas.
A quick non-Zach vote. How many people would have been happy doing Ernest Scared Stupid instead of this movie?
Well,
me.
My hands up.
I don't know. I don't think I would have.
I don't think you could handle that one either.
All right, that's the end of the pod.
Equally scary.
Equally scary. All right, so. Brad's giving me a signal that's saying that we are brought to you by Deluxe Edition Network. Scott Beck, what does Deluxe Edition Network have to offer all of these people?
Deluxe Edition Network has a bunch of different podcasts, various subjects, a lot of movie podcasts, pop culture, etc. Go to the deluxeeditionnetwork.com and see what shows they have. This month, the month of Halloween and scary stuff, the pod of the month is Return of the Living Flet. So you can join Kyle Curtis Flett on the Return of the Living Flet, where he does reviews, rankings, watch-alongs, interviews, live streams, and so much more. So check out his show. It's on YouTube.
And I'm sure he talks about scary movies, right?
He loves scary movies, and a lot of it's interesting because a lot of the shows that I've seen on the Deluxe Edition Network are Halloween themed because of the season. But I think he pretty much sticks to that.
He's Halloween themed all year long.
The name of his show is Return of the Living Flet, which is based on the Return of the Living Dead. So I'm assuming he's a horror fan in general.
I thought it had something to do with Star Wars. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go.
I was like, I think they spell it Bobo Fett, but
that was good, dude. Yeah. I love that. A little Star Wars humor to start us off. So, Hot Tension, French movie. So there's this genre.
I think
of film.
Pronounce it haute tension.
Haute tension, right?
It's not high tension.
It's called high tension, but in French, it's pronounced what, Brad?
Haute tension.
Only a guy with a mustache like that. Yeah.
You have to finish with
yeah. Which was the only thing I didn't like about this movie was all the weird French ah-ha-hing, right?
Right.
It was like Ratatouille.
I wish there was a lot more. That would have made it so much
I'd say
better.
hard disagree. That was my favorite part of the whole movie.
See, Zach, I think we fucked up. We watched it with the dubbing, and the dubbing was pretty bad.
So the first time that I watched this, I watched it on a DVD that I watched the extended cut, and it was in French with subtitles, which just absolutely blew me away. Amazing movie, very decisive in the horror community because about 50% of the people absolutely hate it, or 50% of the people will say that 90% of this movie is a great movie, and then the last 10% is garbage and they don't like it. And then the other 50% think that it's a great movie, and I don't really care that the ending may or may not be. People will say that it's a cheat. That, you know, it's like at the end of the movie that you would say, "Oh, and then she woke up and it was all a dream." You know what I mean?
And I think we should tell listeners is that if you didn't watch the movie,
You should go.
and
watch
you're
it.
not, and I'm going to say that if you're not a horror fan, just like stay away from it and just listen to us because we will give you the gist of the movie and you'll get to kind of like play along.
You can live
even if you've
vicariously
never
through
seen
these
it.
guys.
Well,
If you want to go watch it first, more power to you.
I was gonna say, if you're
But
like,
we're going to spoil it.
If you're like Scott, just think of this as the Wikipedia page of the movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
Scott just reads all the horror movies in Wikipedia, so
100%.
this is the same thing.
Yep.
So this is a French new extremity. That's kind of the genre that this one writer a while ago put a bunch of these movies in. We'll talk about some of those movies later. But I think that this one is, I mean, the high tension is the greatest name for this movie because it has just an amazing amount of tension throughout the movie. You're scared throughout the movie. I really dig it. This guy, we'll talk to the director a little bit later. We've got some special guests coming on, but I text all the guys and I said, hey, should I pick a movie that's more mainstream that more people have seen, but I don't think is necessarily super scary, or should I just pick one that I really love? And of course, my friends are awesome, and they were like, pick one that you really love. And I was
Worst thing I ever said.
and I was like, okay.
No takes backsies.
So I said, you guys, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this movie. So everybody had to watch it, even I, because I don't have the DVD anymore. I had to watch it in the English dubbed version, which is really weird with this movie because it starts in English dub and then it kind of transitions back over to subtitles, which is sort of weird. But after the first 15 minutes, there's not much dialogue anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Anyways, if you like scary movies, I challenge you to tell me that you didn't get scared by this movie, because I think that this movie is super scary. And the first time that I watched it, somebody is going to make fun of me on a commercial at some point because I say that, like, I literally, the first time I watched this, I was like, oh my God, like, this movie made me feel scared in a way that I want to be scared every time I watch a scary movie now. Like, I just went to the movie theater and saw Barbarian, and I was like, okay, that was fucking a movie, but in no way did any of it scare me or make me feel even the tiniest bit like this movie. So I want to throw it over to Nate.
So can I tell you something right now that's going to really like throw you for a loop?
Didn't scare you?
Not a bit.
That's wild.
I was like, okay. Like, I mean, I actually thought
I was like, okay.
I was like, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I have my critiques for sure, but I definitely wasn't. It was not. There were moments that were like felt kind of like a little bit, on edge, but it wasn't a movie where I was like, whoa, that stayed with me at all. Like,
let me also preface that Nate and I went and visited we went and visited Lieutenant Dan, who's been a guest on this show. We went and visited him up in his new location, and we sat down on a couch at like 2 p.m.
Just three big burly dudes on a couch.
Dudes on a couch watching it off of like an iMac.
No,
Are you serious?
No, not an iMac. That could be 24 inches large. We watched that on an iPad Pro.
Oh my God. iPad Pro. So it was like 15-inch screen.
Are you guys serious?
Yeah.
The audio was intensely coming out of that little individual speaker.
Oh my God.
Internal speaker.
Okay, I don't want to hear from you guys anymore. We're gonna skip over to someone that watched it.
Let me jump in because since I did hold hands with Nate as we watched it, and I can say what he's saying internally, thinking about the beginning of the movie, and that kind of like that random serial killer that just starts fucking things up, and you're just like, why is he doing
no
this?
Reason, yes.
And you're just like, this is the worst like possible thing that could ever happen. And it reminded me of some of those early the 70s slasher movies. Like, I mean, I'm thinking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just that where it's just like, God, this feels like it could really happen, and it's gruesome, and they're just killing people for no good reason, and it's horrific. I felt that, and I got that vibe internally. On the outside, I was kind of just making jokes and being silly.
We've also established that Brad is a good, depending on where you want to go, is either a good or a bad person to watch scary movies with because he makes jokes the whole time.
He does break a lot of tension.
Breaks all the tension. So
I knew I had my work cut out. It's called high tension. I'm like, oh, here we go.
I believe that within the first 5 minutes of the movie, you labeled the main killer Uncle Skullfucker.
And that might have carried throughout.
And then, as though we'd known him our whole lives, we this
is my uncle Skullfucker.
We affectionately referred to the main character of the movie as Uncle Skullfucker probably 60 times throughout the movie. Maybe that's why I wasn't scared.
Okay. Let's talk to somebody that watched the movie in the way that the movie was intended to be watched. Did you watch it in the cantina with the lights down in the evening time, Scott Beck?
Fuck no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? Jesus Christ. I hate you guys so much.
I love this. I love our no balls having. It's great.
But I did watch it on a big screen, 55-inch in my other house. Okay. It was in the evening time, not totally dark.
Okay.
Yeah. I shit you not. I started it the night before that. At night, in the dark.
And turn it off.
And I couldn't handle it.
There you go.
So first of all, let me just... Where's this movie set in the beginning?
On a road?
On a farm.
The countryside of France, yeah.
Not the very
It's basically exactly where you live.
Fucking A.
Swap out the cornfields for almond orchards. And
dude, the long drive in the orchard down to your house.
Yes.
When when they turn and she's like, oh my God, people live out here?
Right. So, obviously... these assholes go and hold hands on a couch together and crack jokes while they're watching it on a fucking iPad
with a big scary army guy too.
Right.
They I could see like Lieutenant Dan sitting in the middle and Brad and Nate on the outside with like their arms around.
He definitely double covered our eyes.
Oh my God.
So here I am by myself, live by myself, watching this movie by myself, and I don't like scary movies. So now, what kind of sucks, what's crazy is, what I actually really love about this is, what I'm realizing is, I think I scare myself more than these movies.
I do the same thing.
And I'm starting to realize that I need to just fucking relax and just watch and enjoy some more stuff, because honestly, I don't know if we played the commercial yet already or not, however editing works out, I was pretty angry when I said that. It didn't fuck me up that bad. I actually enjoyed the experience. I wish that I had somebody to watch it with and enjoy it. I think because I have watched some scary movies with other people, and it's always fun.
Right.
Scott, can I say that if the ending was different, that it could fuck you up worse?
Probably.
Hard agree with that.
And what also, again, if anybody is wanting to watch this movie and hasn't, we're going to spoil it, because I kind of guessed the ending.
Oh, really?
Right off the bat. And I think it's probably because at one point I saw this listed so many times that years ago I did kind of check it out at one point, and I don't remember exactly what was said, but I remember there was a twist.
Right.
And so for some reason, when she wakes up in the car and says that she was chasing herself, instantly my brain go, oh, that's the twist.
I mean, it's the biggest foreshadowing that you could get.
Yeah.
No shit. When we were watching it, I think I said at one point, I was like, I'm pretty sure Zach says there's like some twist. Like, he didn't want us to learn anything about it because there's some twist. And like, when's this twist going to happen? And we didn't actually nobody made that prediction of like what
I didn't guess it when I first watched it.
And I instantly in my head go, oh, I bet it's just like her or something in my head. So I watched it the whole time. And so that made her creeping around the corners and looking in the stalls less scary, because I go, oh, she's going to make it to the end, and she's not going to get like scared, or she's not going to get chopped up now, or she's going to make it. And so that which sucks, because I wish I had a kind of a blank slate. And
anyway. I have a lot of deep dive here that I want to get into, but for right now, the main comment, I mean, the two things that really scare me in a movie are either it feels like the tension feels too real and it goes on too long in a way that like they don't let you out of it,
right?
Or they let you out of it with a terrible, like super creepy either jump scare or really horrible like visual that like you can't get away. And then funny enough, like I don't think this movie did either of those things. Like I didn't guess it like Scott, but there was all these scenes where I was like, cowering, waiting for the jump scare, which, high tension, right?
Right.
But they never do it. So in some ways,
the point.
You never release, but it does let you release slowly, right? Because like it doesn't keep you there the whole time.
But it keeps you. I mean, for me, it keeps me pretty high.
It's pretty tense. But in some ways, like the flip of it is like there's. I mean, it's by no means an action movie, but there's a lot of action.
Yeah.
And so it moves you along. It doesn't like let you just sit in the like slow like discomfort a lot, or is not as much as it could. And I think that for me I liked it maybe better because it didn't do that, but it would have been more scary. And the other the way that they can do it right is that they can make it feel more like it could really happen. And for some reason, the even when I didn't anticipate that it was her, it was like the guy seemed half like relatable and half like a caricature. I don't know. Like,
no, for sure.
He was like an affable killer. He goes in somehow like he's in the Jimmy's, like killer store, and he's like, talking to him a little bit, and he's kind of leaning in on him, and I'm like, yeah, this guy seems like it's just kind of a good farmer guy. I don't know. I felt like I connected with him, and it made it okay.
I would say the other thing about it is that when we were watching it, the one thing that we were talking a lot about is she's Marie is like the most buffoonish like victim ever, and you feel like she has a billion times where she can rescue Alex and like get her out in it, and we just kept saying, what the fuck is she doing? Why does she keep running off and like not talking to her, not pulling off her thing? Like she just keeps like figuring out ways to like lead the scene when it's like, dude, you could go jump in the truck right now and just bounce out. Like there's 100 times where that happens, and we were like, she's like the worst character ever in a horror movie. And so we were getting pissed at her. And I think I did make a comment at one point. I was like, who do you think right now Alex hates more, like Marie or the killer guy?
See, that's funny that you think that, because I think I think she's pretty smart. I mean, she goes and wipes the sink down to get the water off the sink so that nobody knows that she's up there. She hides her bag. She hides under the bed. You know what I mean? You think she's going to be in the shower. She's hiding under the bed. I don't think she.
Everything post that is where she really starts fucking up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying.
Why did she run to the bathroom when it's like the one place she can't leave?
Now that you know the twist, right? I mean, it all kind of makes sense.
It totally alleviates that in a weird way, which is funny.
I started watching it a second time just to kind of take some notes or whatever, and so I was kind of watching for little clues, and especially the scene where she's first chained up in the bed and she's in there like trying to get her out of the chains or whatever. The look on her face, on Alex's face,
is terrified.
She's like, what is happening? Yeah. But my first watch, I didn't really get it. I hadn't quite figured out what was going on yet. And
I took it as like, why aren't you letting me out? Like, let's fucking go. Well, cut me out so we can run together.
But on second watch, it's like you see her like, dude, you are shithouse nuts. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah.
Right.
Well, and the flip side of it was like early when he's in the house, the killer, I kept going, does this guy have police training? Was he a detective? Because like every little thing, he's like sniffing it out. He's like, wait a minute,
feeling the heater to see if the heater's hot.
And I'm like, this is an advanced. Like he presents as a real podunk, farmer serial killer.
And that was actually a really cool scene. Like especially when he left the room, he closes the door and he's waited.
So sophisticated.
Yeah, I'm saying. I mean, Hannibal Lecter and Uncle Skullfucker are like they're both kind of right up there with each other.
We definitely made that comparison. Like, this is the new Hannibal.
And I have to say, and this is a non-political statement. The dude is built and kind of walks around like Trump. Oh man! And his face is kind of a little bit gnarled like Trump. I was like, dude, this guy kind of looks like Trump. As he's running around.
And this was way pre-Trump being president.
way pre-Trump.
I just think it was a fun coincidence.
Yeah, that's just an Easter egg that you get.
But I would say overall, like I liked this movie, and I would say for reasons that didn't have anything to do with the fact that it didn't scare me. But I have some real heavy criticism of it. But
there's a lot of criticism to be had.
Yeah, and I'm not going to step on. I don't want to step on the next couple of segments.
I will say that it had one major jump scare that really got me.
So what was that?
Which one?
And that was when the mom was on the floor. She goes up to kind of like check her out, and she breathes real quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I think I had my eyes closed.
Yeah. So like Nate's like nothing.
If you close your eyes through the whole movie, gore. There's no jump scares.
Nate's like none of the gore really got me. Like when he slits the mom's throat right in front of the
that wasn't scary to me at all.
And it sprays onto the thing, and her neck like kind of comes apart.
Yeah.
You didn't think that? I thought that was awesome.
That's pretty standard for me.
Zach, I will say, and again, we've done a few of your thrillers or horror style movies that you've picked before.
Yeah.
And I think there's a problem that this movie has, and I think it's the same thing with Frailty, where you saw him at a very kind of young age where you're really starting to get into films. And any film that was off the beaten path that kind of like...
I was like 22 or something.
That hits you kind of like, oh, damn, that's a fucking wild twist.
Sure.
Like, I think you felt at that moment. So I'm like, this was special. This was amazing.
I felt the same way I felt when I watched Fight Club when I watched this movie.
Right.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. And I think dope. Watching it at our age now and kind of like, I don't know.
Cynicals.
A little bit more cynical. I think it just doesn't have that same feel. And I'd like to hear your take. Like watching it recently,
I do
did you feel like it's...
So I watched it maybe like 2 months ago for like the 5th or 7th or 10th time. And then I watched it again in a hotel room in the dark by myself on my laptop on my chest with headphones in. And loved it. And I thought the soundtrack hits great. I think that, the tension holds up. I think that the unrated version is better.
That's what I want to ask you about. Is what did they? Are there longer death scenes?
Exactly. It's just more like when he does the piano thing or the bookshelf when he takes the dad's head off. It it kind of cuts away. Right. But it cuts away real quick in the version that you guys watched.
Right.
And that one, it like kind of goes and the head's rolling and there's like blood all over the thing. You know what I mean? It's just bloodier, basically.
Totally unrelated, but spoiler if you're watching House of Dragons.
A
couple weeks ago, there was a like half head decapitation that was just vicious.
And his tongue's just like hanging out on the top.
We're not going to say who it was, but
fucking
damn,
wild.
If you're watching it, it was pretty aggressive.
So I'm surprised. I'm surprised at Nate's reaction. I'm not surprised at Brad's I guess I'm not surprised because I told my wife, I said they're going to watch it in the middle of the day and Brad's going to make jokes the whole time and they're not going to be scared. And she was like, oh, you think they're actually going to watch it? And I was like, yeah, I think they are going to watch it. But I said, they're not going to be scared. I said, they're going to have their security blanket, Lieutenant Dan, right there to help him through it.
We did actually ask him to make sure he had a service weapon while we were watching.
We're like, if this gets too intense, you just unload on it. Just
sacrifice the iPad.
Just put a couple into it.
We can't have it.
So, are we gonna get the director in here and kind of hit that, or where are we going
I want
from
to talk
here?
a couple more things real quick.
Okay,
I want to talk about the ending and a little bit of discussion about how the ending changes the movie, because in twisty movies you always want to go back and be like, oh damn, like, oh, let me see what I missed or what.
Totally.
I think this movie does a legit terrible job with that, because it opens up so many questions that don't make sense and that don't really have clear answers.
Yep.
That for some people might be like, yeah, but that's kind of the cool part of it. It's like, no, like if I'm supposed to feel like this is a reality, like this is like, oh shit, this could happen and this person's crazy and they're actually killing these people. There's too many things of like, where was she exactly? Was there two cars? Where was the truck? How did she get the farm truck? Were they actually friends going to law school, or did she imagine herself as a farmer and like the woman was by herself? Like,
we had a lot of conversation about whether or not the little red car existed or whether or not the farm machine existed.
Okay, so this is the way that they explain all that away.
Who's
they?
The Alexandre Aja, the guy that wrote the movie.
His last name would have to be Aja.
So here's where he explains that away, and this is the way to defend against what you're saying, because what you're saying is that the ending feels cheap. This is the big argument against this. One of the big. There's a lot of arguments against this movie. One of them is that the ending is cheap and a cheat, because you do all of this build up and then you're just like, oh yeah, no, it was her the whole time, but you don't go back and explain it. So the way that I like to think about it, have you guys seen The Usual Suspects?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So basically the same
Spoiler
movie,
alert.
right? Usual Suspects, basically the same movie. He's an unreliable narrator telling the story, and at the very beginning you see Marie at the police station, and she's telling her side of the story. She doesn't know she's caught. She doesn't know that, in my opinion, I don't think she knows that they know it's her. She's just there at the police station, and she's telling the police, recounting these events. And
I don't think I even realized she was at a police station at the very beginning. I just heard her saying the words like... I didn't realize. I thought she was like in a psych ward or something.
That's what I thought.
So exactly. So basically, yeah. So then she's reciting her unreliable narrator,
but she's all scarred up.
Bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Because you don't know what happened yet, but you're going to find out, right?
But what I'm saying is I don't think they gave you any intention that she was being interviewed or that she was like the police were involved or anything like that.
So I think that what basically what the movie is supposed to be, and from what I've read and from the many times that I've seen the movie, is her narration to the police on what supposedly happened that evening.
They needed to do a better job of illustrating
showing that premise.
Well, let me ask you that question.
I didn't get that at all.
Is she really law friends with Alex, or was she just a weird farm girl that lives out on her own?
And therein is where you get into the second problem with this film, which is the trope of the angry psycho lesbian. So
is that a trope?
So I want to talk about this.
Supposedly, I mean, I'm not super versed in this, but people are angry about it. And in a lot of my research and stuff that I've read online, because I didn't even realize that this was an issue because of my, I'm not a LGBTQ person, so I'm not in tune to those issues, and it didn't resonate with me. But I guess to some people, a lot of times, basically the reason that she does all of this, the movie says the reason she does all this is because of her, she has unrequited love for Alex. And so that's why she decides to kill everybody, because she's a crazy lesbian.
Well, isn't unrequited love like a lot of killers in a lot of movies, like regardless of their sexual orientation?
So, I mean, yes, Brad. That is, I have no argument.
I'm not trying to make this like a crazy discussion.
I want to talk about this, but I think I want to put a pin in it because I think in our next segment, I'm curious about.
We have some guests. Okay. Some guests. I'm curious.
But I want no, I'm going to wait because I have a suggestion about how to solve this that I think takes into account what the director wants to say and still does a better job.
Oh, wait for my alternate ending. I've got a solid.
There's so many alternate endings because that's the big problem. Everybody's problem with the end of this movie. I think the movie does a great job building tension. I think the ending is fine. I don't have any problem with it as long as you're okay with saying that, oh, this is just her version of events that she's telling at the psych hospital or wherever it is. And at the very end you see Alex is outside of the thing. She's like, oh, can she see me? And when she turns and looks at the camera, I think that's a great little way to end the movie.
I mean, for me, the biggest question, to be honest, of all is none of the specifics. It's, does she know after the fact the truth, and is she intentionally being deceptive? Right? I mean, the way you're telling it is that she knew all along, and now she's telling this unreliable narrator story. But the other way to interpret this is
she doesn't know.
She loses her fucking mind. Right. She's a multiple personality, disorder, killer that just slipped into this other situation and now has slipped back out of it. And she thinks that what happened. She thinks that's reality, but I mean, I guess that's kind of a moot point, right? It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can decide on your own as a viewer, whether you think she's telling the version of events that she really thinks is true or telling the version of events that she's fucking crazy. Yeah, I think that's true, except it might inform what you expect the real things. Given that they didn't give us the answer, my guess about what the real occurrence of events were is different if I think she was trying to be deceptive versus if she's doesn't realize that she did this other thing.
I think it's very possible that in their head that she still doesn't think that she has done this, and she still thinks that, because I mean, even to the bitter end, she's like, Alex, blah blah blah, it's me, she never has that moment where she lets on that she knew what she was doing the whole time, right? I think she's definitely thinks she's just that crazy.
See, I mean, this all boils down to, for me, that I just want to live in a world where that Ford murder machine ranch truck exists. Okay, and if you tell me that it doesn't, then fuck this movie.
I think it has to exist. I think if the little sports car thing that she chases him with, that one has to not exist.
Isn't that like a Mustang?
I think
that was my biggest issue. Was the fact was okay, when she showed up, she was all cut up from the wreck. Well, what wreck? Who was driving the car that Alex was in? She wasn't so she showed up after a wreck that didn't happen, or it did happen.
Maybe she did flip the truck. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I got confused.
But then Alex would be all fucked up in the back of that murdermobile.
Right.
I don't know.
And these are all the exact questions that every person on every internet forum that talks about this movie, there will inevitably be somebody that says,
right,
"Have you guys seen High Tension? I love this movie." And then there's 47 dudes that are like, "Fuck that movie. Right. It makes no sense."
I like that it creates discussion. I mean, I'll talk about that later, but it's I do like that. I like the fact that we did. Lieutenant Dan and I and Nate, we talked about it for a good 45 minutes afterwards.
Yeah,
So
we made Dan keep his pistol out the entire time. We talked for a long time about it.
Is that what he's calling his dick now?
I talked to my cats.
You got a lot of cats though. You
myself.
could defend your castle pretty well with all those fucking cats. So I got one more level to the twist is weird and doesn't make too much sense, and that is this. So we're about to talk to the director. Or talk about the director, but we've got some guests coming in, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the director before we get there. And that is that I like this guy's movies. I've seen 3 of his movies. I like what he does. He did the Hills Have Eyes remake. I don't know if you guys saw that. I know Nate saw it.
I saw it when it came out, but also, I own it.
He's so full of shit. So it was good. But there's a guy named Dean Koontz. You guys know who Dean Koontz is?
Yeah.
Author. Yeah.
Writer.
Right. So he's like the Walmart Stephen King, right? That's how a lot of people think about it. And he's fucking really good, actually. He's got a bunch of books. So he
sold a shit ton of books.
Yeah. So he wrote a book called Intensity. Now, I can't sit here. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've read the book. I have read some Dean Koontz books. The Bad Place, great book. But this book Intensity, every person. There's always a guy on the same forum when someone brings this movie up. There's always a guy that comes in and goes, "This is a direct scene-for-scene ripoff of the book Intensity by Dean Koontz."
Okay.
The only difference is Dean Koontz doesn't have the twist. It's just a fucking crazy psycho guy that attacks these women and blah 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 blah. And the one girl's like kind of getting away, and I guess like it's so it's so close that Dean Koontz actually spoke on it, and he came out and said, and I'll paraphrase, basically he said, I'm not going to sue them, because he has sued people for plagiarism before and won every single case. He says, I'm not going to sue them because the movie was so depraved and disgusting and ridiculous that I'm not even going to, I don't even want my book associated with this movie, so I'm not even going to sue this guy.
Basically, it's like, if I sue them, it's going to bring more attention to this movie, and I think it's shit. So
Exactly.
He also saw that it only made $6 million at the box office. And he didn't have any money anyway.
It's like my lawyers cost 3.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was hilarious. But and you know, normally something like that would really piss me off, but I have the luxury of not reading the book, so I have no idea how close the ripoff is. But it makes me kind of want to read the book.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that changes it a little bit in my head.
Well, and then the fact to go from Intensity to call it High Tension or Haute Tension.
Yeah.
But I mean, to basically choose the exact same name as a wild.
It's a
pretty
risk.
close.
Yes, and then you know the other things that he's done are all remakes or sequels too. So he did like the Hills Have Eyes remake. He did Piranha 3D.
Oh shit!
He did
the original Piranha was pretty wild.
Yeah. So, anyways, his version is dope, but I think he's a really good filmmaker. I think he builds tension well on screen. I think that if you watch it in the middle of the day with a big burly cop in between you, it's not as scary as it could be. But I still love this movie. I'm so glad that you guys watched it. I still hate you, Nate. Let's go. Let's go see if we got our guests ready to party with us.
All right.
Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by Ford. Are you a farmer that needs a vehicle that's rugged enough to handle the day-to-day farming, but also conceal your murder victim while you're finishing up your chores on the ranch? Well, look no further than Ford's new series of farm murder machines. These machines will somehow look both retro and futuristic and will handle the back roads and off roads and cornfields so that you can do your work during the day and also do your work at night. That murder victim will stay tied up in the back of your murder machine until you're ready to go off and do your murdering. So if you're looking for something that'll handle both your daytime and nighttime activities, look no further than Ford's murder machines. We've got you covered.
I love that.
I thought it looked like a paddy wagon, kind of like the old 1920s movies, like the old paddy wagon.
Somehow with a lot of aluminum siding thrown onto it.
Crazy looking.
It was
shit.
like armored. It had like the brush guard on the front of it. It's like an effective murder wagon.
Well, like I said, retro, but also futuristic.
Pull up a chair and grab yourself a drink. We'll hypothesize what directors think. Maybe sometimes get a guess makes us look good. Let's drink, laugh, and pretend we know what we're doing. Drinking with the director, brought to you by Last Call Brewing.
All right, guys, we're drinking with the director today, and we actually, you know what? There was the language barrier was too thick. We asked Alexandra to wait outside, and we've got some special guests that we're going to get to in just a second. So I am drinking. This is Drinking with the Director on BVK, brought to you by Last Call Brewing, and I am drinking the classic Karate in the Garage by Last Call Brewing. Brad, I know you brought something special that you gave me earlier. What are you drinking?
Yeah, on my way out of town, I usually stop by the old Last Call Brewing and pick up something. This time I brought along, a little easy drinker, Mosaic Lager. It's like a right over 5%er. It's got that lager taste, but it's just got a little bit more flavor. And
I thought it was great.
Walter's throwing in some. He's going to make it taste really nice and special. For
it was like a hulked out Bud Light.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It's super crushable. So
I love it when people describe beers as hulked out Bud Light. It never gets old.
Jeez, you hear that a lot. Oh, Scott Beck's got something over there with a big old ice cube in it.
We haven't properly introduced our guests yet, which hopefully we'll get to soon. But in honor of them, I know they like whiskey, and I stopped by the store and picked up a little something special, a little Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% rye whiskey, aged 6 years. And nobody can see this at home, but they're clapping on the screens, so I must have done a good job. But really yummy rye whiskey, and I'm sharing it with Nate, and he's also drinking something else.
I'm double fisting tonight. On the one hand, I've got the whatever I stole from Scotch Beck, so refer to his comments. And on the other, I have my classic Diet Pepsi sans grenadine tonight.
No grenadine.
It wasn't feeling it.
Blood sugar's a little high today.
I was kind of grumpy, and I was like, you know what? Today doesn't deserve grenadine.
Is that the problem?
Today doesn't deserve grenadine.
You need more grenadine, buddy.
Nate, I got a real quick follow-up for you there, because the Real Drunks, our friends on the DIN network, we just had Matt Marlowe. He got a little interview with a woman who's been starring in some online horror movies, and when they were doing their drinking section, Matt Marlowe got out the whiskey with the grenadine with the Coke.
Did he?
It had a name.
Did he give Nate
like
a shout out?
He called it a bloody Jack, I think is what he called it.
Like Jack Daniels, Coke, and grenadine.
Did he reference me?
No, but he took a sip and he said,
infringement.
he took a sip and he said, "This is shit. This is way too sweet." He put it down and he switched to a beer. So
I'm never listening to that.
That's almost as bad a plagiarism as High Tension. All right.
Damn.
We've got
right now.
We've got a couple of guests today, and we have with us today in the Bev's Video Kingdom studio, we've got Felicia and Tawny from the Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, I believe is the name of the podcast. How are you ladies doing this evening?
We're good.
Very good. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on. So you guys do a podcast. You guys have been doing it for a while. I know that there's a cool backstory. So can you guys fill us in on what's going on with you guys and your podcast and where we can find it and all that fun stuff?
Tawny and I met back in 2020 on this little online business group. It was starting, online businesses or what have you.
Okay.
And we were placed in the same pod, and that's how we met. And we were talking about something, and she mentioned a movie, and I was like, "Oh, I love scary movies." And she's like, "I love horror movies." And we started talking about it for hours. At the end of it, we're like, "Let's start a podcast on this." And we did.
It happened that quickly?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you live in completely different places, and just kind of so one of you lives in Arizona, I believe, and one's in Colorado or something.
I live in Arizona, and Tawny.
I live in Idaho.
Yeah. Idaho.
Oh my gosh.
But the coolest thing that I had checked out when you guys were talking about is that you guys did the pod for almost 2 years before actually meeting each other in person.
Yeah, we met each other in person just a few months ago at the
so cool.
Midsummer Scream Convention.
Oh, what?
That's
so awesome.
And before we get too much farther, we skipped what they are.
What are they drinking?
What are they drinking?
Oh,
Zach?
I'm sorry. I was supposed to ask you guys that.
Derelict, Zach.
I'm a bad host. Hey, ladies. What are you guys drinking this evening? Maybe we can buy you a drink. What are you guys sipping on?
So So I'm drinking some Four Roses bourbon.
Ooh,
Okay.
we like you.
Very nice.
Any just a sort of straight up, but the straight up bottle? Anything special? No, just the like right down the middle.
I just put a little, a couple ice cubes in there.
I like it. I like where I like where your head's at.
Yep.
Okay.
See, I told you guys. They
do it right.
These are
Okay.
girls we want to talk to.
You're after Scott Beck's heart right now. He's a whiskey drinking fool over here.
And
Love
Felicia?
it. I'm also drinking bourbon whiskey. I'm drinking some Blanton's neat.
Oh, nice. Damn. Talk about burying the lead. We're all over here talking about the shit we're drinking. She's got Blanton's in her fancy glass.
You got these guys excited.
Damn. How many times did you have to get on the like liquor store wait list to get that Blanton's?
My husband is a big whiskey. We have lots of bottles of whiskey, and he's the one that searches it out and
Nice.
gets on those lists and all of that sort of thing.
It's a good man right there. You hold on to him.
I can
You
tell
don't let
why you
him
married
go.
He's a
him
really
already.
good man because he lets me drink it too. Right? He's like, yeah, have whatever you want. So
Does he watch scary movies? Do either of your guys' significant others watch scary movies with you? Because mine does not, and I'm the big scary movie guy here, and I have to watch all of these movies by myself, which may make them inherently more scary. But does anybody watch these movies with you guys, or are you guys watching them by yourself?
my husband does not like.
I
scary
knew
movies.
it.
And all three of my daughters, well, okay, my 8-year-old loves them and wants to be a horror movie filmmaker. But obviously she can't watch some of them with me. But yeah, I'm the only one besides her. So
For me, my boyfriend, Jade, he will watch some of them. He doesn't dislike them, but there are certain ones that he will not touch. Like, he will not watch, like, body horror type stuff.
Right.
If it's, like, too dark and depressing, like, that's not for him. Luckily, wherever I go, I seem to find myself, like, a group of people who also love horror movies. So I have, like, a nice little group of people here. My friends, like, Paige and Trevor, they have their own podcast, and we all go to see horror movies together. So it's nice to have, people to watch them with, I feel like.
Okay, well,
I was going to say, you'll need to know that two of us, when we were tasked with watching High Tension.
the background is that these guys were. I was like, "Can I pick a movie that I really like?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I picked this movie, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna watch it." And then tell them how you guys watched it.
So we watched it.
You requested that we
You said watch it alone at
Watch
night.
it alone at night, and then how did you guys?
And
watch
we
it?
ended up watching it at 2:30 in the afternoon on a couch with three gentlemen on a couch on an iPad Pro, like 15-inch screen.
Not even on a TV with no headphones, with the speaker from the iPod.
Just the internal speaker. It was badass.
And the guy that was in between us was the chief of police, and he was packing. So in case any shit went down,
And they're not
in case
joking.
any shit went down with the screen, just pop.
And
it's
then Nate
over.
says, "I wasn't even that scared. It didn't even really scare
Yeah,
me."
what's
And
the
I'm
big
like,
deal?
"Yeah."
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So I have a theory that inherently these movies are more scary if you watch them by themselves. So Felicia, I'm with you. If your husband will watch them with you, you watch them by yourself, it makes it more scary. Were you with me?
All right.
Yeah.
So you guys have come.
Agreed.
I'm ready to hear the expert take here, and I'm intentionally leaving Zach out as an expert. So, Felicia and Tawny, you've done this one on your podcast. Where does this rank? I'm not saying like specific number, but like where is this in the pantheon of horror for you? Is it sort of upper echelon, or is it middling? What was
Good,
your
bad,
take?
or ugly?
I think this ended up right in the middle. I am pulling it up to look at the numbers. Collectively, our score was a 3.75 out of a 5.
Okay.
you had a 3.75, I believe, and I had a 4. And the only reason I didn't have a 5 was because of the ending.
Yes.
How I felt about the ending.
Yeah,
But I loved it.
That was
Now-
something we've talked about, is the ending. Either people love it or they absolutely hate it.
Which of you recommended this movie for the pod?
That would be me.
Okay.
Oh, and then you scored it lower than Felicia. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes. Yeah, because the process of rewatching it was very different than
The first watch.
experience watching it the first time. Yeah. And I think I said, even in our episode, I was like, this is one of those movies that you watch once and, you may just not want to come back to it again. If you had a good experience, just leave it at that and don't worry about watching it a second time, because my second watch did bring it down.
Don't dig into the
so-
details too much on this one, right?
No.
You got to
And
really
Tawny-
suspend some disbelief.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
And Tawny, isn't this the one we watched? It was the first one we watched that got me like on this French extremity horror obsession, newfound love.
Me too.
Wasn't it this one?
No, we started with Raw, actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Which is
okay.
absolutely amazing, and I'm sure you guys have seen Titane already.
Yes.
Yes.
So those are great. And so did you go on to watch Martyrs and Them and Inside and all of that stuff?
The only ones
Not
we
them
haven't
yet.
Yeah, the only ones we haven't
Sorry.
seen in the usual group is Them and Frontiers, and sometimes I see Irreversible get looped in, but
It
I'm not
is.
quite sure if that counts. Yeah.
It's kind of on the edge. It'll definitely fuck with you, but it's I don't know. You guys got to watch that and get back to us and let us know if you think that falls into the category. But you guys have seen Inside, El Interior, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
You guys are all still speaking English, right? Because I'm not understanding it.
Well, you guys got to understand that when I watch a horror movie, I like to watch it in groups, and my intention is I'm going to be reducing the tension by just saying some stupid jokes, and we affectionately labeled the main killer
in the first
movie.
5 minutes of the movie. Brad,
I
came up
labeled
with
him
this.
as Uncle Skullfucker, and once he was labeled as Uncle Skullfucker, he
took
was a
a lot of the
little
edge
bit
off.
less.
He was less scary after that, as
But-
Brad made joke
but-
after joke.
The actor, though, you guys just mentioned Irreversible. He has like a cameo
Yep,
in
he's also in there,
Irreversible,
yeah.
and I saw that he was also in some other really fucked up movie. So this
He's
guy
actually-
enjoys being in fucked up movies, right?
He's actually passed away, but he's been in a whole bunch of scary movies, and he's very cool.
So okay, so I want to get your take on. So we debated in our opening a lot about the ending, and not just whether it was shit or not, but what vantage point we're supposed to take it from. So my question was, when she's reporting, like Zach was making the case that the director makes, which is like sort of an unreliable narrator situation. But my question is she unreliable because she's lying and she doesn't know, and she knows what happened, but she's trying to report something else?
She's trying to get
Or
out
is she
of it.
unreliable because she's effectively a multiple personality sort of murderer, and she doesn't realize that she was the killer at some point, right? She sort of switched back. So what's your verdict on this?
That's what I think. So when I first watched it, I was like all about it, and the ending, I hated it, dropped it a whole point down.
Right.
So watching it the second time around, it actually didn't bring it down for me. I just came with it knowing, and so I was watching for these different things, and that's how I felt personally, is that it was she was unreliable because she really was, in her own mind, the victim, the hero, and the villain. And all of those stories were separated for her in her own mind. What about you, Tawny?
I agree. And I feel like I think we talked about this on our episode too. There's like moments that don't feel like disingenuous that make me believe that this is like a multiple personality situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, I don't know if this is the same kind of question, but something that came up, and I can't remember if we landed on this, is we started talking about like, what if everything leading up to their contact was in her head? Like, what if they weren't even friends? What if, all of this just started when they first made contact? So that was kind of a different way to look at it. And I don't know that we walked away with like a clear thought, but I think you could look at it multiple different ways.
Yes, somebody brought that up when we were talking about it.
Yeah,
did they even know each other? Was she?
I thought maybe
random
she's some
farm
crazy
chick?
farm lady,
Yeah.
and she just happens to see this girl one day and decides to do that stuff. Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily make sense for them to be like law school buddies, because this girl was perfectly normal most of her life, except she has fucked up dreams, according to Alex in the very beginning.
Right.
So, and therein we come to the next problem with this movie. So there's 3 problems with this movie. The first problem is the ending. The second problem, and now as a cis white male, straight male, I can't connect with any of this, with any of this, and it didn't land on me until I started doing research on this movie and started reading about it. And there's been literally like doctoral theses written on this movie and the treatment of the LGBTQ characters. So Marie, the main character of our movie, is in love with Alex, right? And we're led to believe, or depending on how you look at it, that her motive for the entire killing spree that she goes on is her unrequited love for her friend Alex, who's straight, who is seeing men. She's not out of the closet, it doesn't seem to me. And it seems like people have come with the argument that the trope of the angry lesbian psycho basically is the main character's character is, you know, easily written off as, oh, she's just a crazy lesbian. And it's sort of a problematic thing for a lot of people. I'm curious on your guys' take as women. What is your guys' take on that storyline? Did you guys think of that when you first watched this movie? Because I didn't. And then when I rewatched it after reading about it, I was like, okay, I can see how people would be upset. So I'm curious on your guys' take on it.
I agree that I didn't pick up on it the first time I watched it, but I was like 14 or 15. Like,
okay.
I was like pretty young.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just was like, oh, shocked. That was a shocking movie. But I will say, like, as I've continued to watch it now for the third time, I feel like that does become more and more apparent. And I definitely see how this depiction is problematic in the way that, you know, you're kind of setting up this dynamic where it's like her attraction to a member of the same sex is what's bringing out this violent tendency.
Has driven her insane almost, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see how that would be, real problematic.
So I don't, Felicia, you go, but I want to jump in right after that because I have a couple like things I want to play off here.
I was just going to say, the first watch and the second, I totally understand how somebody might feel that way and respect that. You know, that statement that you guys are talking about. Both times I didn't see that at all, because what I saw is this woman who almost has like these dark urges, almost like Dahmer, just because I just watched that Netflix series, but these dark urges within her. And she happens to be attracted to women, I guess, because there was lots of different victims. She happens to be attracted to women, but it wasn't because she was attracted to women. It was just that she happened to be, but it was more her suppressing these dark urges that were that she got, that were erotic for her. Just like a lot of, you know, I know you guys don't like true crime, but a lot of, you know, murders and stuff that are well known that have erotic with these types of tendencies, if that makes sense. That's how I saw it.
So the Felicia's sort of point there is like right on the nose of one of the sort of kind of canals I wanted to go down, which is in some ways, right, like tons and tons and tons of murder in real life and in movies is motivated by sexual repression, sexual desire, sexual complications,
sexual aggression,
and I mean, well, I'll get to the second part of this in a minute, but like it seems pretty pervasive. Let's go with that. Second, my real question is that in the article that I read about this, and I also didn't think of it, and I won't sort of blame my heterosexuality on this so much as just sort of a general lack of thoughtfulness. But I didn't really, you know, I didn't pick that up until someone mentioned it, and then I read some articles about it. And the claim seemed to be that like this is a trope. And I was like, not having any experience in the horror movie community, I was like, how many movies are there about lesbian like murderers? Like if it's a trope, it's got to be like there's got to be, this has to happen, right? And leaving that question unanswered and assuming that like there aren't that many, because there can't be that many, right? Unless I'm just really missing a thing. I had kind of a weird opposite reaction, and this is going to sound like a joke, but my reaction was, well, you know, some little bit of good like representation here, right? Like I really, you know, like, you know, the horror genre is dominated by a bunch of white dudes killing people. Like at least we've got a lesbian now, a woman, and also a non-straight person doing some killing. Like this is you know, it sounds silly, but I was like, this is a different take. Right. This is a different like approach. And so if it's a trope, forgive me because I just don't know this shit. But if it's not, I kind of had it flipped on its head, you know, thought about this. And then, you know, same in some ways, right? I kind of like the wrinkle that it's sexually motivated because we so often then are like dismissive of women's sexuality, and that women don't have the sort of like the sexuality that would drive them, you know, to do these things. And this is like, you know, exactly a fuck you to that. It's like, she's totally turned on. She masturbates and turns into a goddamn killer. I'm like, I'm all in on this. Like, this is a like, you know, breaking down barriers, right? So maybe I don't mean to be like, you know, sort of silly about it, but like this really was kind of my reaction.
So I had a similar thought. I mean, and there's two ways you can look at it. So I'm not sure of I mean, from what I've read, there is a trope and there is a stereotype of the angry psycho lesbian. And I think if you were a lesbian female watching film and TV, those characters would stand out to you. And if all of those characters were coming back in that same kind of vein, it would start to wear on you, right?
For sure.
So I get that. I think Nate said it best, like, whether you're going to blame it on your sexuality or whatever it is, I think I'm kind of blind to that because I don't really latch onto those characters, and people that do are going to notice that kind of thing. Do you guys agree?
I think
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, when you were talking, I thought of, that single white female movie,
right,
as well would be another one. So, yeah, I didn't see it that way, but I can completely understand.
According to the internet, if we think about it long enough, we'll think of many more. And I've thought of a couple of other ones, but it's
Felicia, you just mentioned Dahmer, and I know that there was some controversy just recently about they had labeled it on Netflix as a LGBTQ movie. And there was like a pushback against that of like, no, that's not an LGBT movie. This is just, Jeffrey Dahmer is Jeffrey Dahmer. He shouldn't be fit into like that particular group.
That's a fuck up at Netflix. Somebody got fired.
Yeah.
Somebody got their ass fired.
Right.
For sure.
So you brought up something specific about the movie that I just was now thinking about was all the pictures and the other victims. Do we think were those real victims, or were those just like objects of her desire, or like what were the other victims?
Was the truck real? Was the truck not
real? Yeah, it goes into that whole other conversation. Was anything real?
Let's get to the real question. Is the truck real? Okay, that's what
Nate's a farmer and has expressed his desire to want that truck, and he thinks not for murdering purposes, but for farming purposes. He claims.
Allegedly.
I don't know. Yeah,
that's concerning to me. I think we decided, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think we landed on the truck has to be real. Because
Thank God. Okay.
I agree.
Put in the truck. It's, right. And so then I think, you kind of also have to take the pictures. They are probably real as well. Now, where that leaves, the rest of the things.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Did she kill other people?
But I love the fact that you can kind of ask yourself those questions. Did she kill a bunch of other people? Were those made up in her head? Were those objects of her desire that she also had some unrequited love for, but she didn't quite get to killing them? Like,
and if you say that she's the farmer and that she actually wasn't the law school girl riding to the farmhouse with Alex, then where we affectionately said Uncle Skullfucker, that initial scene is not actually Alex's head, and the director is very adamant.
He says it is not her head.
It's not her head, and that it's like some random head. So maybe
he says it's a woman that is his type, which is Alex, and that's why it looks so similar to her.
Which is Marie's type. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Her type, his type. Either way,
Uncle Skullfucker's type.
Yes, it's a very
gender
specific
ambiguous.
So
these are all maybe dark desires and thoughts and ideas and dreams that she has of what she wants to do with these people, of who she wants to be. So I think you could see that she maybe killed all these people, or this is who she is inside, or this alter personality has done all of these killings, and really maybe Alex is as her first, and it gets real botched up a lot, throughout. So I don't know. I think you could look at it a lot of ways.
I feel like it might give the twist away, but I almost want there to be some sort of catalyst to her starting to kill people. Like I almost want, it seems that, things are just going right along. Everybody's going to bed, and then she starts murdering people.
Did you not watch the movie? She masturbates to climax, bro. That's
after seeing her in the shower.
That was the catalyst.
In fact,
while she's out for a smoke break, she sees her in the shower, and then once she starts, feeling herself, then it's time to start murdering.
I disagree. I think she would be more relaxed after that. I think she'd probably chill out after she got done listening to her music. Anyways,
this is your hottest take of the whole thing. Every single article makes the claim that it's supposedly this
that got her all hot for murdering.
Yeah,
I disagree. If you've ever had an orgasm, I don't feel like murdering anyone afterwards. I want to lay there and smoke a cigarette in bed.
So I don't.
You haven't had one?
Yeah, but we also, I'm hoping, I'm speaking for everyone, don't have orgasms by killing people.
Right.
That is true.
That isn't what turns us on.
Wait, sorry. You're saying that
Not since college.
that the orgasm didn't happen until her first kill? Because that's a hot take, too.
No, I just meant we don't really know what was going on in her. I know she saw her naked, but what was she really thinking about?
Agreed.
Maybe she was thinking about the headless blowjob.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Oh,
something.
you're right. We don't know what's going on in her head.
Yeah.
So, and that's the key to the whole movie, right? We don't know what's going on in her head. There's so many unanswerable questions. There's a lot of things that are kind of left up in the air. Now, so that's the second thing. So the LGBTQ community being a little bit angry about this movie, which I totally get. So we're going to move on to the third problem with this movie. And the before we even say that, the fourth thing that I want to say is that I really like this movie. I'm bringing up all these problems because I think you have to bring them up when you talk about this movie. And the third thing is that you guys know Dean Koontz, right? So I'm sure in your research for this movie, you guys read that there's a book called Intensity that he wrote, and this is like a 90% complete ripoff of that book. The only thing, supposedly, and I will not pretend like I've read the book. I said that earlier, but the only thing supposedly that he changed was the ending to put the twist in. But besides that, it was like a complete like scene for scene ripoff of the book, which is absolutely wild. What are your take on that, guys?
I don't know.
That sucks.
Sucks for them.
But I love the movie.
Agreed.
But yeah, I get if I wrote a book and they did that, I'd be pissed. So I get that too.
Look,
and I like the
I'm going to
movie.
listen to I Want a New Drug and Ghostbusters just because they sound the same riff. I'm going to listen to both those songs. It's not going to ruin either one of those songs.
You know what I
for
think
me.
it would feel like if somebody drank grenadine and soda on a podcast that didn't say shit about me. That's what I think it would feel like.
Nate has a patent on grenadine and soda.
Now, I want to say that we have the ladies from Two Chicks and a Horror Flick on our show right now, and you guys, I think, talk about as this be high tension being one of your most popular episodes. Was it popular because of like listeners, communicating and giving their feelings about it, or just you felt like your guys' conversation was great? What was kind of the catalyst for this being one of your top episodes?
I think we pulled that number just most downloaded or like most downloaded in the first 7 days or something. I can't remember specifics, but I think that was one of those stat in that realm was the reason why it was most popular, which shocked me because I thought, oh my God, we're going to get no downloads. Like almost nobody has really like watched
I've had
this
that
movie.
thought several times.
we encouraged it. We said, hey, you can choose a movie. If nobody watches this movie, who cares?
I'm with you, Tony. Though. I was like, I'm going to pick this obscure French movie and no one's going to see it and no one's going to listen to this pod. But I think that we're going to get a big bump from maybe, hopefully, your listeners.
So if you have someone who hasn't listened to your pod and you're telling them about it, what's the one episode that you're going to steer them to? Do you have a favorite?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
say,
that's a great
hey,
question.
Check out this episode first. Yeah, let's see if you guys both have the same answer.
Oh yeah, don't talk about this.
Oh, it's like the what is it? The wedding, the newlywed game. It's like the newlywed.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Hey,
write it on.
Tawny and Felicia, you guys each told us answers before the show. You guys don't know it, but now we want to hear what your guys' answers are.
I'll go first. Because I'll just go with the first one that popped into my head, and I might be stealing yours. But I want to say Black Christmas from 1974. We recorded that in the first year that we did the podcast, so like I'm kind of hesitant to recommend that one because I don't know what it was like if you go that far back now.
That pod, yes.
Yeah. But we both had such a good time recording that episode because neither of us had seen it, and we both fucking loved that movie like on such a high like we both gave it 5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
Like we will not shut up about it to people. I don't know about you, Felicia, but I tell fucking everybody, I'm like, you need to watch this movie if you haven't seen it. It's fucking incredible. So I don't know, that's always the first one that comes to mind is like I feel like we just had so much fun recording it that it's got to be a good listen. I hope.
Yeah,
that makes it so much better.
You just made me want to listen to it now.
I would agree. Black Christmas first popped into my mind. Other ones popped into my mind like Antichrist, but I don't recommend that to everybody. So Antichrist pops into my mind, and then I'm like, oh no, I can't ask them to watch that movie, Black Christmas.
But it's a great episode.
There you go.
If you've seen Antichrist, if you've already seen it, it is definitely a good episode to listen to. If you haven't seen that movie, we don't necessarily recommend it for everybody.
Awesome. So I just recommended some fucked up movies for our streaming recommendations. So I'm curious if you guys are both horror movie chicks. It's October. We are coming into Halloween. What is a movie? It doesn't have to do anything to do with high tension, but if you were going to tell somebody to watch a movie that was going to scare them. So that's my whole thing. Like I can tell somebody to watch a movie that I think is entertaining or whatever it is, but if you were going to tell somebody to watch a movie that's going to scare them, what's the movie that you're going to recommend to them?
The one I default to that is safe for all types of viewers and is scary is Host.
Oh yeah.
If it was you and you love horror movies and you've seen fucked up shit, I might recommend some other things like these French extremity.
That's what he's asking. He wants.
No. I love where she's going with this.
But Host scared the crap out of me. I absolutely love it, and that's something I can recommend. I just recommend it. Somebody texted me. I don't even know who it was, because I didn't recognize the number, but they were like, "Oh, hey, Felicia, I'm looking for something scary, but not too gory." And I'm like, Host.
Yeah, and then you can recommend that to somebody without thinking they're not going to think you're an absolute psychopath for
right.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Just to be on, I'm not going to watch that movie.
Yeah.
So you guys can take that.
Nate, I'll come over. We'll watch it some afternoon.
Oh, is Lieutenant Dan coming to town?
Tawny, what do you got?
I also highly recommend Host. It is so fun. It's such a fun. It's all set through Zoom, and it was everything happened in the pandemic, so they did everything remotely. It's incredible. You should definitely check it out. But I'm gonna add to that, if you want to be scared, but also I'm not trying to traumatize you, like Felicia said, telling people to watch Antichrist or something crazy like that. I am on a mission to have people watch the movie Caveat, because
I don't think I've seen this movie.
I love it. I think it was 2020.
Is it on streaming somewhere? Do we know?
Last I checked, it was on Shudder.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Shudder's a real streaming service?
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know that.
I've read it. No, Shudder's the horror movie
horror
streaming
one,
service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's actually very cool.
It's kind of similar to Disney Plus.
Right.
It's very similar to Disney Plus. Same amount of animated classics.
I just wanted to say, if for beginners, Host, and maybe the next level would be The Strangers. That's one of my favorites. Absolutely terrifies me every time I watch it. And then the next level, then I have for days. I like things that are dark, disturbing, psychological horror, atmospheric. The Witch, Hereditary, Martyrs, all of that stuff.
You're speaking
Caveat,
Zach's
Tawny
language
was
right
saying.
now.
Yeah.
I fucking love this stuff so much.
These are all my favorite movies.
Zach made us watch Hereditary a while back.
I did make all of them watch Hereditary.
We still hate him a lot for that.
Well, we sat on a couch and watched that one too.
We all sat on a couch under a blanket in Nate's backyard and watched it together.
I listened to that episode, guys, and I loved it. And I told Tawny, I was like, "Oh, you know what? This is going to be a great conversation."
Oh, that's awesome.
One more. There was mention of children. What's your favorite Halloween besides Ernest Scared
for
Stupid?
Kids.
What's your favorite
Ernest Scared
Halloween
Stupid is my
movie
go-to,
to watch
by the way.
with the kids? That it's going to have a little spookiness, but it's not going to give them nightmares where they're getting up and crying and peeing the bed and stuff.
So with my little one, then we watched Hocus Pocus, but she got bored. Her favorite movies, we've seen them all, is Jurassic Park.
Oh yes,
and she loves Chucky. So there are moments that I ask her to turn away. Don't worry, but she really loves that Chucky doll.
Do you think it'd be?
And she knows who Michael Myers is and Jason, but she hasn't seen those movies just because of me.
Probably good.
But yeah, those are the scary movies I watched with her. I'd say Jurassic Park. She doesn't even flinch. She loves it so much. I know it's not a Halloween movie, but we watched Hocus Pocus, like I mentioned, and she thought it was cute, but she got bored.
Yep.
Yeah, my fam just watched Hocus Pocus too, and they said it was okay. It was a little bit of a callback, and there were some fun moments. So.
Have you guys seen the old British version of Witches? Do you guys know the movie that I'm talking about? You guys haven't seen Witches? They made a newer version of it with Angelica Houston, I think, but there was an old. You know what I'm talking about? The older version of it.
I've only seen the Angelica Houston one.
Okay,
Was the first one I
it's
saw.
super spooky. All right, Tawny, what are you gonna have your kids watch?
Well, okay, so I don't have kids, but
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
I got a wreck.
You can start traumatizing them way before you ever have them. You put that shit down on like even an adoption application, and you're guaranteed. So anyway you go, do it. It's good.
I think I have a good rec. It's not a movie, it's a TV show, but it's called Over the Garden Wall, and you can watch it on Hulu right now, and it is so good. I'm usually not a fan of animated shows that are aimed at kids.
Okay.
It's not my go-to thing to watch, but I love this show for how autumnal it is. It's like the perfect, like right around fall
movie.
Halloween show, but it's also kind of adult. Like you watch it and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is for kids. Like,
Those are the best cartoons.
Kind of spooky.
I don't want to.
So,
I don't want to like ruin the vibe here. But what word did you just say?
Autumnal.
Is that autonomous? Like autumn?
It's like autumnal.
It's autumnish.
I'm straight up stealing that. I'm gonna write it in
Nate's
like
an
my
author,
notebook,
literally.
because that's incredible. I
Tawny taught me that word when we first met. She said it, and I was like, "What?"
Did you say
did
Mr.
you just
Thomas?
make
Legit word.
autumn into an adjective?
I like
What
it.
is that?
That's not a word.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
So my go-to is always Ernest Scared Stupid. Have we seen Ernest Scared Stupid? Okay. The next one
Yes.
is always Coraline. Have we showed our daughters Coraline, Felicia?
Oh, Coraline!
Dude.
She is obsessed with Coraline.
Yes,
I
as well
forgot.
every young
Yes.
lady should be. Yes. All right, good. We're all on the same page. I love that. Okay. So Two Chicks in a Horror Flick. Are you guys doing weekly, bi-weekly? How often are you guys releasing episodes? Where can we find you guys?
Weekly. And
Yes.
Okay.
where can they find us, Tawny?
Oh shit, Felicia always does this one. I was hoping to take the first part. You can find us anywhere. If you just type in at Two Chicks in a Horror Flick, except for Twitter. I think we're Two Chicks HF, but we're like,
Okay.
we're not super Twitter users. We're mostly on Instagram is where
Us
you'll
too.
find
Okay.
us. But we also have a Discord server. So we encourage, and that's free, everybody to go to the Discord server so that we can chat in a forum like situation, a chat room about horror movies or whatever else you want to talk about. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Should we get a Discord server?
I don't know what Discord is, but I'm sure my son
I
could tell
think
me.
it's like a giant chat room, and we can just say buffoonish shit like all
My
day
son
with our
is all
listeners.
up on Discord, and he
So is mine.
He rules the 7 Seas on the. I forgot what the game is. There's a game that he's got a whole like community. They talk all sorts of.
So I have a 12-year-old and we went and picked him up at his friend's house, and his friend's mom comes out and she starts talking to us while the boys are still inside, and she's telling me and my wife, she's like, have you guys checked out their Discord? And we were like, no, we have no idea. And she's like, oh well, I stole my kid's phone and checked it out, and she's all, holy shit, these kids are talking about crazy stuff. And I was like, really? What is Discord? And they're like, it's just a chat room. So apparently she questioned her kid about it, and he told her, he's like, yeah, all those people saying stuff that's inappropriate, I don't know who they are, because they all have like pseudonyms on there. You have no idea who any of the kids' names are. He's told her, she's like, so, I know it's none of our kids, it's just other people coming into the chat. And I was like, lady, it's definitely our kids saying that shit. Like, come on, dude.
I've just accepted that the people on Discord know more about my son probably than I do, which is
1,000%.
that's the way it goes.
Thank you guys so much for coming on, and you guys are going to come back and judge our draft, right?
Looking forward to
Yes.
that.
Beautiful.
Looking forward to that.
Us
Cannot
too.
wait.
All right, thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
We'll
you
talk to you guys next episode.
Thank you.
thanks.
I'm Tawny Ray,
And I'm Felicia Connor.
and we are Two Chicks in a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast.
We are two horror-addicted best buds sharing our unedited, comical, no bullshit opinions on the horror flicks we love and hate.
And you can always expect some interesting movie trivia. We cuss a bunch, spoil the shit out of some movies, and drink a little whiskey.
You can find us on every social media platform and listen to us on your favorite podcatcher by searching Two Chicks in a Horror Flick.
And remember, no nightmares.
Bev's Video Kingdom is brought to you by Go Fuck Yourself, Zach. Do you have a friend named Zach who recommends movies or in no way something you want to sit through by yourself? Are you a big scared pussy named Scotch that gave himself anxiety for a solid week just thinking about the shit he was going to have to sit through? Does your friend Zach say things like, "It's not that scary," or "I love this movie so much that I've been chasing the high I felt after seeing it for the first time ever since"? If you answered yes to either of these questions, or answered, "Well, my name isn't Scotch, but I'm a pussy too," send me an email at scotch@scotchbeck.com or hit me up on my socials, and I will personally tell Zach to go fuck himself on your behalf. Thank you, and thanks for listening to Bev's Video Kingdom.
You know what? I can tell you that I'm a customer of that, and it really works.
Your patron. Subscribe to the Zach Go Fuck Yourself Patreon.
Every morning at 7, I just email Scotch. Please tell Zach to go fuck himself.
Is it a one-night stand, or do you hit it with a shovel, or take it home to mom and dad? It's like fuck, marry, or kill. It's Shag Snack Body Bag.
Is it a one-night stand, or do you kill him with the bookcase?
I love that version.
I should have done
That's an alternate ending.
Fuck. Thanks so much, Two Chicks and a Horror Flick. We really appreciate you guys. You guys were awesome.
I'm psyched to have. They're coming back next.
Yes,
next
they're coming
week to
back.
be
Yep.
draft judges, and I'm psyched. I'm just saying it.
So
They've got the whole right vibe going for them.
as you guys heard from the fucking bumper, we're going into Fuck, Marry, Kill. We're going into Shag, Snag, Body, Bag. So, Brad, if you're going to shag something from this movie that you watched during broad daylight with two burly men next to you touching their wieners, what do you think, what are you going to go with? What are you going to shag besides burly man wiener?
There was one thing that really got me excited about this movie, and I will say this: you kind of caught on it a little bit early. Muse.
Oh, dude, it's
The fuck
so
is
sad.
Muse doing showing up in this movie?
I heard it. I go, that's not Muse. That was Muse?
2003, bro. 2003.
Early Muse.
Newborn from Origin of Symmetry. Like, I mean, one of the earlier
This is a
albums.
sick
I
album.
thought it was a band that sounded like Muse. I didn't think it was actually them. That's
Matt Bellamy,
great.
he's a great vocalist, and it's just random that they showed up in this movie. I was like,
Yeah.
and they're featured like multiple times. It's like the song comes in on multiple different scenes. So I was like, wow, was somebody friends with Muse, or like did they?
I think Muse. I think when I think Muse, I think Radiohead. I think Muse copies Radiohead.
Oh, they start out that way, but then they became their own little thing of like, we're going to take some of the best bands of like all time, and we're going to incorporate all of them into our song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of Queen, there's a lot of
sure.
Radiohead, but they fucking rock. Their new album is just straight like almost got a little metal edge to it.
The early stuff I think is really killer. Right around this time, 2003, 2004, that record is fucking great,
Dude,
And
all their George W. Bush kind of like hatred like came out and a little bit later, and like it was very vicious and pointed, and they've got a man. I like them.
I felt like they really turned the corner when they were on the Twilight soundtrack. Just personally,
Muse.
you know.
Yeah.
Do they have other stuff?
I think they got the response it deserved.
That's where I.
So
know
yeah,
I
that's
felt- okay.
my shag. I'm shagging Muse.
I love that because I think the song is super climactic
Yeah.
and super just like crescendoing into some cool shit. Scott Beck, what are we shagging from this movie?
I'm shagging the runtime was only an hour and a half.
Well,
Now,
it didn't get into the dark for you, so that's nice.
you got to get that uncut version, about an hour 47.
well, yeah. So no, I just thought it was a get in, get out.
Yeah, it was tight.
Once it got into the killing, it just fucking went, and it was over quickly. And
That's how you know what you're killing.
so I was, another podcast on our network, 10 Cent Beer Night. He actually talking about some horror movies that you basically don't get enough respect. And he talks about the sweet spot of horror movies. And he's like an hour and a half, like hour and 40 minutes is like kind of the sweet spot of a good horror movie. And I was like, as I was watching this, I was like, okay, how much more of this shit I got to watch? Hey, I only got about 30 more minutes. It's sweet.
He must hate Ari Aster then, because that dude's going
Right.
deep on this.
So-
Ari Aster's like, here's the 6-hour cut.
So anyway, I mean, you know what? The movie wasn't nearly as bad as I built up in my brain, as I mentioned earlier. But I was kind of glad when it was over.
yeah, well, I'm shagging the shagging wagon. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a vehicle that was such an embodiment of the film.
You were obsessed with it from the beginning. Like you immediately was like, what kind of fucking truck is that? What is
I literally,
this?
I think I backed the film up at one time because I wanted to see if there was any kind of like brand emblem on it. Because I'm like, who makes this shit? Turns out it's Ford.
Is that a
But-
Fiat?
No, I mean, I'm like, what is this? Like,
It's got
is it even
padlock thing on there, so you can lock it
it's
up.
like the front is weirdly angular. It kind of looks like an animal, or maybe like an aardvark. Or I don't even know what it is.
Ice cream truck / paddy wagon?
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
It's the Ford Aardvark.
It's the Ford Aardvark.
The
And
A400.
But they slapped up some like bad tin roof on the sides, and it somehow works. I don't know, dude. I'm all in on this.
It looked
on the murder machine.
like factory, but it may have been some aftermarket.
I say I think it's the custom. It's the limited plus some custom work.
It's the good, like right in between a good farm vehicle and the free candy like rapist van.
It's like those two things had a baby, and they made Uncle Skullfucker a vehicle.
So if I'm shagging something from this movie, it's really straightforward, and it's just one of my main things so French New Extremity is kind of the genre of this movie, and one of the main themes in all of those movies is home invasion. And fuck, man, that is one of the things that seriously scares me.
Mm-hmm.
In all of these movies, there is literally people at home just living their lives, and then somebody bursts into their home and fucking turns everything upside down and shit gets crazy. That's the shit that really scares me. I fucking love it. I love the way that it's depicted in this movie, the movie Martyrs, the movie Inside, the movie Ills, Them. Check them out. It's all the same shit. If you dig this, you will like those. So we're going to snag. We're snagging.
Sure.
So it comes after shag.
Scotch Beck.
I'm gonna snag Philippe Nahon, whatever how you pronounce his name, as the killer. His
Captain Skullfuck.
Captain Skullfucker.
Uncle Skullfucker.
Please respect the Uncle Skullfucker.
Uncle Skullfucker.
AKA Trump's body double.
Yeah. That first of all,
He's like a fit as fuck Trump, first of all.
the scene,
Is he?
the scene when he gets the Hummer by the severed head, that was just, I honestly said, what the fuck just happened? And it actually kind of made me kind of happy because, like, holy shit, I was not expecting.
Because up until that point, nothing really had happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Well, you expect, like, okay, he's either beaten off or
Right.
somebody else is giving him some assistance.
You think someone's
Yeah.
giving him head. Yeah.
Totally.
And in a way, they were.
Yeah. But what I loved was like his little chuckles. Like it's just evil little
So evil.
subtle. Like he didn't overdo it. He was so methodical and so just like what we talked about earlier, like just the way he kind of like was a detective in a way, like trying to. It was just fucking weird, and he did a great job.
He was creepy as fuck with Jimmy
as hell.
When he got to Jimmy,
Yeah.
Kind of relatable too, right? Like
Right. Right.
he wanted some of that top shelf liquor to celebrate.
And how he's fucking with Alex, and like that scene where like he dumped the liquor back there, and like he lit the match, like he was gonna drop it on her with the liquor on her. It's just like
super fucked up.
Super fucked up scene. So I loved him as an actor, even though he wasn't really the killer, because it was in her mind.
Because he was completely made up. Nate?
Spoiler alert.
You know, you might be surprised by this, but there one kill in particular.
Oh, God. What was your favorite kill?
Oh,
when he shoots the little boy with the shotgun?
I love that one.
So let me jump in really
straightforward, gruesome,
I don't think we even talked
unnecessary.
about the
Maybe
dog
when he
yet.
kills the German Shepherd?
I want to jump in really quick because I only had a couple notes as I was watching this. And first of all, the notes are mom's gasp, fuck you.
Yeah.
They killed the kid, fuck you. Those are my only notes I wrote down.
I'm surprised that I think people got really like tripped out about the dog too. Like,
Oh, the dog fucked me
killing
up too.
pets,
Yeah, I
like
hated
that's kind of fucked up.
People get way more fucked off
Oh,
about
no.
killing dogs than they do about
They're
killing
like,
humans.
okay, that kid had to go, but the
Right.
dog, the dog really,
Really?
He was just a German Shepherd.
No, it's got to be the like decapitation
Staircase.
vis-a-vis staircase and furniture.
Multi-part. Because that dude gets first stabbed in the face,
Right.
and then he crawls up the stairs. Then he gets
and then he
jammed
gets
through.
jacked through the spindles, and then he's like, you know what? I'm not going to make. I'm
going to slowly
I'm gonna
push
go-
this bookcase towards your head.
I'm going degree of difficulty here. I'm going to take your head off in a way.
I'm not going to worry about anybody else hearing me slowly push this bookcase across the room.
The mom obviously took some sort of prescription pill or
Right.
something to go
They
to sleep.
show
along
ear-
with
they
the
show,
other girl.
ear
She's got
plugs.
She has earplugs.
That was
You're
in
correct.
Alex's ears.
Alex.
Yes,
has-
Alex.
Because I was
had
wondering how
earplugs.
she was sleeping through all that shit. But yeah, mom, I don't
Not
know.
AirPods. She just had earplugs.
Earplugs.
So either her dad or mom, either they're fucking hard or they're snoring hard.
Jesus.
Well, why else does she have earplugs?
Why not both?
They're fucking in earplugs.
They're fucking hard, and then they snore hard after they get that good fuck on.
I feel like the two chicks are listening to the episode now, and they're like, "This was great. Oh my god, what the fuck happened?"
I don't know. Just earplugs it's a random thing. You have earplugs. I mean, I can tell a story right now. Nate and I just went on a little vacation, and we were hanging out with Lieutenant Dan.
This was right after we watched High Tension.
And, you know, sometimes you have to put earplugs in because the person you're with.
Because you're with Nate.
might make some sleep noises.
Nate might have sleep apnea. That's one of the funnier things. So my snag is going to be Nate's sleep apnea.
It's a new movie called Snore Hard.
And then 30 seconds go by.
I
no
legit
breathing.
knew that Lieutenant Dan was going to have access to earplugs. I'm like, you guys go to the range all the time. You got some earplugs sitting around. He's like, yeah, I do.
He went into the gun locker and he opened it up and like dug behind an AR-15 and he's like, oh, here's the earplugs. I think these will work. And you're like, I don't know. And I'm like, do I snore? Really? It's that bad?
I mean, Dan, he told you that final morning, he was like, I heard you as I was coming out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, who's snagging next?
Brad, did you snag?
I have not snagged.
What are you snagging there, mustache?
I'm snagging mindfuck films, man. I do like a good mindfuck film. I said any that tries to be challenging, even if they go for it and they miss. It's like when that person's going up for that dunk, like the dunk competition.
Those are my favorite dunks.
And they're just like, it looks so special, and then they fucking bounce off the back of the rim. You're like, God damn it! I really wanted this to be great.
My favorite thing is YouTube or like little short videos where a guy's doing a really impressive dunk in slow motion, and then right before he actually dunks the ball, they cut away, and I'm like, oh, he missed that dunk for sure.
It was the worst when they had the dunk competition where they made the dude like try it like 17 times in a row.
Literally the worst part of any dunk competition is a guy that tries the same dunk 14 times and can't make it.
And then they make it and you're just like, yeah,
that was really cool.
All right. So yeah, I mean, if you're doing a mindfuck film, I like it. Try it. Even if it doesn't work out, we'll talk shit about it and love it. So that's the way I feel about it.
That's great. I love, if I'm snagging something from this film, it is the title of the movie, which is High Tension, which literally for me, I know not for you guys, but for me, when you get dropped into this movie, it's literally after the first 10 minutes, it is high tension for the entire ride. I feel it the whole time. Even though I've seen it and know what happens, I still feel it. And I fucking love it.
It kind of gives you that feeling of intensity, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like Dean Koontz said, I don't want to be associated with this schlock. That's basically what he said. What do you got, Nate?
I'm going to body bag the twist. And it's not because I saw it coming, which I didn't. I really didn't. But somehow it was like the twist just wasn't enough. Okay. So like I it wasn't that I objected to the twist, or I was like, oh yeah, like that's kind of the obvious twist, and I wanted them to, like, if they were going to do a twist, I wanted them to really kick me in the nuts about it. Like I wanted it to be like the kid. I don't know, like, or something, you know. Like,
oh, Jack, the son,
yeah, or like, you know, like
it's the dog,
or like it's the dog, yeah,
fucking Air Bud.
Dude, somebody's got to do a horror remake of Air Bud. That would be badass.
All this, just the last scene of the movie is like a slow zoom in on the windshield of the Ford murder machine, and you just finally get close enough, and it's just the German Shepherd sitting in the driver's seat.
He turns,
big smile on his face.
Kind of turns to the camera, and his ear pops up. I fucking love that.
Anyway, not a big enough twist.
Oh damn.
All right, so I have a feeling like there may be some body bags. Nate, I'm going to kick it right back to you.
That was my body bag.
Body bag. Because he already given
I
it.
wasn't stoked about the twist.
We'd all done snags already. So when you dropped it to Nate, everybody done their snag.
Well, fuck you guys. Brad, what's your body bag?
my body bag is watching horror movies alone. Like,
oh, that's the best way. This is the only way to watch them.
I'm saying, when I'm watching a horror movie, there's got to be some
Who's going to listen to your
jokes.
funny asides? If you make a bunch of jokes and no one's there to hear them, are they really jokes?
I can't do that shit on my own. I don't make myself laugh. I got to be able to say something stupid and just like, hopefully people resonate. Like, I mean, if you
I
say
love the fucking visual in my head of you telling jokes and no one else is in the room, and you looking around for someone laughing and there's no one there.
that's Uncle Skullfucker,
And then you just get more scared.
If I keep saying Uncle Skullfucker to myself, I'm not laughing. But if it becomes a team where we're all rooting for Uncle Skullfucker every time he shows up, now it becomes fun. That's how you get through a fucked up movie.
So my body bags, first of all, we've already talked about most of them, and it was like had to do with like the shit didn't match up, like the truck. So we've already had this conversation. So then I had another thing about the bookcase decapitation. It was kind of silly, whatever, but we kind of talked about that, whatever. And then I was going to say, oh, well, shit, I'll just talk about watching a horror movie by myself and not being invited to be the fucking meat and the sandwich of the dudes. And so then Brad just took that from me. So I actually don't have anything other than the fact that fuck you guys for making me watch it by myself.
So you simultaneously don't have anything, but you have everything.
Yes.
I like that.
If I didn't happen to have the week off that week, we would have come out to the cantina and watched
It's all
it
good.
together.
It's all good. No, it's just because I really do realize that I think I enjoy these movies without even realizing it, because I've always kind of been by myself in certain ways, and it's like watching these films are super fun with other people.
Yeah.
But I don't seek them out by myself because I don't like them by myself. So that's why it's kind of weird to watch a movie like this by myself.
I'm going to say this is learned behavior, because you guys know we did it on the Basement Tapes. We did the movie Summer School.
Okay.
And one of the Chainsaw Days, one of the requirements for going along with him teaching them is that they have to have a screening at school of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. And they watch it in class, and they're like, see now right here, this part, he's not going to feel this because he's insane as he's like chainsawing his own leg.
Right.
And he's about to he's like, oh no, they're just making stupid comments.
Oh,
and
that's your
laughing.
inspiration for the way that you watch movies. I
think
get it now.
No,
Chainsaw Dave.
That does
make a lot of sense.
Not all movies, horror movies.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I didn't. You're doing a character. It's perfect.
So
That's what I love.
If I'm body bagging something from this movie, it is absolutely and without a doubt the half English dub, half subtitle bullshit that they fucking copped out on. The English dub is not good, but as far as movies go, it's not that bad.
Marie's voice in the English, when she's like, Alex, how you doing?
Yes.
Alex? Oh, I love
It's a
you,
little
Alex.
breathy. Yeah.
It's just like, it's too like, almost like waifish. Like,
So
I don't know.
they made a comment. She said something like, my parents haven't been here that long. So were they supposed to be Americans that moved to France? Because they had American accents in the dubbed version.
I don't know.
And
Wait,
that's what
the
I
parents
agree.
did?
the parents did, and
Alex.
and Alex.
So typically when you do
Oh,
an
shit. I didn't-
English
I didn't
when you
even
do an
fucking realize
English
that.
dubbed movie, they give them they're not trying to do accents for whatever. Like
Right.
if you watch a Korean movie, they're not trying to do a Korean accent.
but
for the
Marie
English
had
voice.
a French accent.
I agree, because I think it may have been the same actress doing the English, but just you can't. I mean, if that's not your native language, I mean, there's just no way that you can do it.
But I was
justice.
also pissed because I literally spent the first 5 minutes of the movie realizing, oh shit, I got the dubbed version,
Yep.
and I wanted
but
the
it's the
subtitle.
only one you can get.
I know, and I didn't realize that, and I like a subtitled movie. I actually
Me too.
enjoy it a lot better than.
I 100% with you there, Scott, and that is my body bag. Is that you cannot get this movie unless you buy the DVD on eBay. You cannot get this movie in any other way than the half dubbed in English, and then sort of they kind of give up about halfway through the movie, and they're like, "All right, we're just gonna do it in French."
It's funny because like halfway through, I'm like watching it, and I'm like, oh shit, I do have the right
subtitles
version
now.
now.
Yeah,
Great,
exactly.
and I enjoyed it so much more.
Me too.
And then all of a sudden at the end, it switched back. I was like, ah, fuck.
Yep. Agreed. All right. So this is actually the literal perfect movie for this category, and we are moving on to
Streaming recommendations.
God damn it. Can you keep this in?
We can.
And people can get a little peek behind the scenes of how fucking unhelpful you are when I'm trying to transition and you're looking at your phone and you're not telling me what we're going to next. Streaming recommendations. Play the bumper, Brad.
Crackle, Pluto, HBO, Find Anime on Crunchyroll, Peacock, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, Tubi, Sling TV, Shudder, Fubo. What the fuck is Fubo? I'm sure it'll cause a sensation. It's a streaming recommendation.
All right, so we watched High Tension, which is a great French New Extremity movie. And
Is that what we've been talking about for the last hour?
Yeah, and we're trying to figure out. It's going to be Halloween. Everybody's excited, wants to watch a scary movie. So, what are we going to recommend that our peeps are going to stream? Scotchback, what do you think that these people should watch?
One of my favorite movies to watch around this time is, because I'm not a big horror fan, but I'm starting to get into them a little bit, and there are some that I've watched that I really enjoy. And I picked this one especially for Zach, Cabin in the Woods, which is my all-time favorite horror movie. And the reason I say that, he hates it, but I love it because even if you're not into horror movies, I think you will really love it. It's super fun. I think we talked about it even on the last pod.
Yep.
And it's cool twists, and it's definitely not your normal horror movie. And there's some comedy in it. Joss Whedon, he's kind of a problematic dude in general, I guess. He's had some issues with his directing, but he writes amazing movies. He did Buffy, and I think he did Firefly and all that stuff. So
Avengers.
So he's got a really good sense of humor. I love his stuff, and it's just a really cool movie. He's got Chris Hemsworth, and it's on Apple TV for rent for $1.99.
Ooh, killer deal. Bradley, what are we streaming?
So, when there's a movie that's got murdering and then all of a sudden there's this twist at the end, it was just like that kind of like, it's supposed to be a big deal. I thought about a movie and I was like, what movie would really hit me where it's like, oh man, there's murdering going on, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh damn, that's the actual murderer? And I thought of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
actually has a terrifying scene in it.
Judge Doom, yeah. I mean, we might have some possible picks for next week.
Mm-hmm.
But Judge Doom, man, he's evil. He dips a shoe in the dip, just straight up murders it
in the dip.
And then at the ending scene, man, you find out he's the one who's actually been killing everybody, and he killed Eddie Valiant's brother and.
Spoiler alert, dude. Jesus Christ. You're recommending this movie to people to watch. You just tell the ending?
Oh, shit. Yeah. Fuck. Well,
just invite all your friends over and be like, hey, it's October, Halloween. We're going to watch a scary movie. They'd be like, what movie are we going to watch? And you're like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And they'll be like, all right, I'll be there.
Hey, and you know what? A lot of folks got this. It's on Disney Plus. So check out Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I love it.
So I like twisty twisties.
Okay.
Like I like a twist at the end. And sometimes, you forget the intensity with which the twist happens. I think this one I have not forgotten, and the rewatch really hits you, and in an interesting way, right? It is a twist about who the killer is, but not exactly, and that's 7.
Yep.
So if you want to, that one, if you want to watch one that is not exactly horror, but it's got some very intense scenes and has a great twist at the end. I don't know if there's anything better.
I completely agree.
It's
one of my favorites.
Easily one of my favorite movies of all time.
Which is funny to me because you say you don't like scary movies, and I think it's
because it's
that first time you see it though.
It's not because it's not technically a horror movie, and so it wasn't billed as that. It was billed as a thriller, as a crime thriller. And when I got into it, there were some scenes that scared the shit out of you.
Yeah,
but it was such a well written movie. I saw it twice in the theater. Because
Visually
I
great.
Loved it so much. Visually, the acting is amazing. 7 is a great call.
I love that pick. So if we're going to go with some really cool French New Extremity movies, I've got 2 for you guys. And
I knew you'd have
I've been waiting for this all day.
So High Tension, I love. We're going to go with a movie that I've actually recommended on the pod before called Inside or El Interior or something like that. Dude, amazing movie, very graphic, very scary, very cool movie. I'm not going to spoil anything about it, but you guys should go watch it. And the next one
on a couch with 3 guys during the middle of the day.
You should definitely watch these movies at night when it's raining and it's spooky outside. You should watch it at Scott Beck's house when Scott Beck isn't there and just have nothing but his cats to defend you.
If I had people over and we went out to the cantina and we get the projector out, I will watch all the scary movies you want with at least one or two people with me.
And the other movie that I'm going to recommend is a movie called Martyrs, which had an American remake that came out in like 2016 that's fucking garbage. Do not watch that movie. So this one came out, I believe, in 2008. It's available for streaming for just a couple of bucks on Amazon Prime. And holy shit, it is absolutely just a tour de force of great storytelling, great movie, great visuals, very scary.
I've heard this mentioned on posts here and there saying it's a pretty fucked up movie.
Super fucked up.
I knew you were doing
super duper fucked up.
He's all great story. It's really cool. But you didn't mention the fact that apparently it's really, really fucked up.
Kind of uplifting.
Well,
also
I was gonna,
kind of terrifying.
I was
going to
mention this. I was going to mention this in a second. But the greatest thing to me about Nate and Brad being like, this movie wasn't very scary. It didn't scare me at all. Is that hopefully there's a whole bunch of listeners that are going to be like, oh, they said it's not very scary. Like my mom. Nate wasn't scared. I think you can watch this one.
I can't wait to get hate mail from your mom.
So that's exactly my point.
Sorry, Wendy.
There's going to be a whole bunch of people that are like, oh, Nate wasn't really scared. I guess I'll watch it. And then they're going to watch it by themselves alone, and they're going to get really scared, and it's going to make me super happy. And then maybe they'll realize, oh, I like being scared.
We'll rent out Lieutenant Dan, and he can just show up. And, he just hang out with Lieutenant Dan and watch
my buddy, movies. My horror buddy, my horror buddy and me.
Oh, I love that. I thought you said horror buddy, and I was even more excited.
Yeah, Dan is a bit of
shout out, Lieutenant Dan. That's fucking great. Hey, watch a scary movie. It's Halloween. It's the time to watch a scary movie. If you're gonna do it now.
Except don't.
No jet watch for Maverick, Mexta on that goose stick. Iceberg list Titanic, Leo's drawing that nude shit. Jim fucks Nadia like we all thought he should. Ricky and Doughboy get the fuck out the hood. Luke hooks up with Leia just like he's intending. It's time for a reshelf and alternate endings.
Yeah.
You guys know what that rap music means. That means that we're picking alternate ending and we're culturally appropriating some fucking music. So, Brad, what's our alternate ending? So it's kind of been discussed ad nauseum that there's a crazy twist at the end of this movie. The killer is found out to be actually the other main character that you've kind of been rooting for the whole time. So how are we going to fix this movie, Brad?
All right, I've got a fix, and it makes it fucked up and fun.
Okay, those are two great things.
So we're going to take away the twist, at least the twist in that part of the movie. So she actually goes ahead and kills the dude, and then she goes back to Alex. Alex is rescued by Marie. And they both go to the hospital because they both got injuries and have suffered trauma and shit. So they're sharing a room. And as they recover, Alex keeps asking Marie about the events where like Marie could have rescued her, but she didn't. She keeps kind of making Marie feel like shit. She's like, why didn't you? And when we were in the bedroom, why didn't you untie me so we could like run away together? Why, when I was in the back of the truck, like didn't you just grab me out and we could go run off somewhere? Like why didn't you? So she's just giving her the shit. So Marie keeps getting very defensive, and eventually she becomes kind of just irate as Alex keeps telling each nurse or doctor that comes in, she's like, yeah, she could have helped me, but she was fucking totally inept. And so Marie's just getting pissed. In the middle of a big blow-up fight, all of a sudden Uncle Skullfucker comes busting in the room, and he fucking smothers Alex to death with a pillow, and he just walks out of the hospital. And Marie's fucking horrified. She's frozen in fear, and she's just losing her mind. And it kind of fades to black, and all of a sudden the scene jumps to the police are at the hospital. They're interviewing the nurses and like the doctors, and they go over to a monitor to watch the footage of the room, and they see that Marie is smothering Alex with the pillow. And then she like leaves the room with like a little satisfied, like sadistic smile. And a nurse asks if she's like, has she been caught? And the police officer's like, no.
Oh, so she actually gets away.
But the point being that the real killer was there. Like the real killer existed. She fucking goes to the hospital and she just loses her mind from Alex nagging her, like trying to say like, oh, you were a fucked up friend and you didn't rescue me. And she loses her mind and she just is like, I've been through some trauma. Fuck it. I'm going to become a killer too. And she just smothers her.
Oh, so you think the real killer was real?
The real killer was real.
But then she gets nagged enough by this bitch Alex that she murders her.
She murders
in the
her.
fucking jail.
But she
that.
pictures it. She pictures it as Uncle Skullfucker coming in. But then you find out, oh, so it's like the twist, but it's
So
the
the only
twist is
part that
super
happens
later.
in her head is the very end when she gets
when she
drive
thinks
nuts.
that crazy man came in, but that's just because she went psychotic because of all this nagging and trauma, and she just loses her mind.
All right.
Okay.
Fucked up movie.
What you got, Nate?
So okay, so
Damn, that did not go over how I thought it would.
I was just fucking confused the whole time.
Can you also explain the way that? No, never mind. Okay, so so I'm gonna go I'm gonna salt it with a little bit of Usual Suspects.
Okay. Verbal Kent.
So movie plays out exactly as it happens. Okay.
To what point?
To the point at which we see the video. The cop sees the video. Okay.
And he sees the same video that we see in the movie.
Except, no. What he sees is the video doesn't capture what's going on. All it captures is like her running around a corner to the back. Okay. And it catches her looking up at the camera, like the video of the store. So he assumes that like
You don't see the murder happen,
right?
But she's the only one that you see in there.
You see her running through, and what he catches when he backs up a few times is she looks up at the camera.
He's like,
and
video
kind of makes a
enhanced.
weird like smirk to the camera,
Right.
and so it's off, and he's like, something's off here, but none of the rest of them are like, the rest of the cops are like, no, and she's not in a psych ward. She's very clearly telling the cops like the story and that this guy got away, and so he kind of raises an issue, but the rest of the cops basically put it on whatever the equivalent of an APB is in France. Okay. So then we get to go back to the truck, the scene at the very beginning, and slowly we move in and finally can see inside the cab, and it's her, the girl, wearing the coveralls.
Okay.
That Uncle Skullfucker had been wearing. And she reaches out and drops the head that we see at the beginning. Oh. And now we see just a super fast flash, and it's from her vantage point of everything that happened in like a 10-second thing. So we get to see all the kills from her standpoint, and then the truck drives off.
Oh,
it still leaves you with the question of whether or not she's making shit up or she's multiple personalities. So you don't answer that, which I like as a vagary.
But it never answers any of those questions, right?
It answers the questions, though, of like how this all played out, because you see her perspective.
So this is the farm girl perspective.
It's the farm girl perspective. So she lied about being friends with this. She was just a farm girl down the road.
Oh, and maybe she looked at her from afar when she was visiting her parents last time or something.
Exactly. And so like you actually see the sort of like, she told the story about her, but they're like, okay, well, we don't know who this is. She's we're not checking into the background or whether she's really a law student or whatever. Turns out she's just down the road. So she has this like flash, and you can just see that she really was in the murder machine.
Wait. Did you just say that the cops are so lazy that they're not going to find out if she's actually a law student?
Right. I mean, it's far off in America. They're French. They don't have
It's
these
French, bro. French people can't look that kind of
Multiple
shit
people
up.
murdered. They're like, was she really a law student? I don't know. She says she was.
They don't even have telephones on their farms, bro.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I did that. Give me another 10 minutes and I'll get you a better.
How about High Tension Till Dawn?
So it's a funny one because I like High Tension Till Dawn, except that in this version of it, the vampires stumble into the farmhouse and then they're like, oh shit, what happened? And like they're taking off.
They were ready to like go suck some blood. They're like,
oh, and then they just like slowly back away.
Motherfucker got decapitated by a bookcase. We're getting the fuck out of here.
They back away into the corner real quiet. They're like, oh shit. Okay,
it's a short.
I'm out of here.
It's up for the short movie on the Oscars.
Scotty?
So it sounds like mine has probably been brought up on blogs and discussions already, but it's a little more vanilla. But so to me, I think the way it should have ended was like this. So it happens the way it happens, and the scene where they're together, and the crowbar bursts out of her back, right? So they're like face to face, and they look into each other's eyes, and Marie says, whatever she says, it was the only way.
That's exactly what she said. That's unbelievable.
That was French. Super fucking
Translation
racist.
is, it was the only way to have you for myself. And Alex sobs and says, it's like,
You sound like Joey from Friends.
but you didn't need to. I do love you. And all you had to do is tell me. And then suddenly Marie wakes up in the back seat. She was dreaming again. The whole thing was a dream.
They haven't even got to the house yet?
Haven't got to the house yet. She tells Alex to pull over. She has something she has to tell her. And then there's a crazy lesbian sex montage. The end.
Jesus.
That's the movie I want to see.
Maybe you just skip all of it and just have the part where they're in the car and then they have sex.
There you go. Perfect movie that I want to watch by myself.
Called High Heel Tension.
You're going to make me watch a movie by myself. I'll watch that movie.
Okay, so I can't believe no one brought this up, but I think the way that you make this into a perfect movie is you just have the killer be real.
Right.
You have him kill. I mean, you have to decide who you want the final girl to be. Whether the final girl is going to be Alex or it's going to be Marie.
So you want to straight up plagiarize Koontz? Just straight up.
I mean, I mean, usually I'm I try and defend Koontz, but when I'm getting.
But you're right. I don't think the twist makes it better. I think it's.
I don't think the twist makes it better. Although I like it.
Does she still end up in the psych ward though?
No, because I think you have to kill one of them. Only one. If you know anything about horror movies, only one girl can survive.
Right.
And unless there's a crazy twist like in this movie, then you maybe have two survive. But you can only have one survive. So you got to decide who's going to be the final girl. I think in this movie, Alex needs to die and the other girl needs to get out. So maybe you have him, light her on fire when you think he's going to light her on fire. I love the fact that he doesn't light her on fire when he pours the liquor on her and then doesn't light her on fire. But I mean, how shocking would it be if he drops that match and catches her on fire in the back of the thing or whatever it is? He takes her to the place and does whatever he's going to do to her, or whatever his plan is.
I'll tell you what, though, as much as we have discussed the ending and like it or don't or whatever, I do love the very, very, very end where she's sitting there and she's looking through the mirror and she's like, she can't see me, right? She turns. And
it's a great.
I love that scene. It was I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Yeah. I like that part.
Agreed. You lose that, but what I'm saying is, I think Marie, it turns into the heroine of the movie when she doesn't turn into the bad guy, and I think it's just a super straightforward, kind of home invasion crazy movie.
What if we do a double reverse and somehow we work it in so that he really is the killer, but she gets pinned with it?
Oh, I see. I mean, even more into that.
Boom.
To where it gets pinned on her. All right,
solved it.
I will say, we got through almost this entire pod without mentioning the fact that the fucking concrete saw at the end is one of the most ridiculous things ever.
I love that.
It's ridiculous.
When he's bringing
That's what
it
makes
around,
it awesome.
like he's like chopping it makes it when you think like this little small girl is like carrying this saw around and jumping on a car and
it's
fucking
the most
jamming it into the thing.
It's very fucking. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Let me have the scene where the guy's running with the chainsaw. I mean, that's very much what it is.
It was like that to like 17 times.
If I could just make a list, if I had a nickel for every horror movie that I've watched where there's a girl running out of the woods onto a street that seems to be abandoned and there happens to be a car and she's got to try and flag that car down, I would have fucking a lot of nickels.
It makes me not ever want to pick somebody up. If they come running out of the woods and they're like, drive is like, okay,
there's
you
somebody
get in this
behind
car,
her.
There's two things that are going to happen. Either one, my car's not going to start for some fucking stupid reason, or some guy's going to jump out of the woods and going to fucking kill me before I can drive away. This is a guaranteed 100%.
That's weird. See, my instinct is to always pick that person up, so I don't know.
All right. It's fucking...
You don't watch enough movies.
It's fucking late at night. Does anybody have a song that we're going to throw at the end of the movie instead of Muse?
Oh, which is funny because I had a great one, and I'm going to say it right now. I love Muse and everything, but why not just play She's a maniac
Actually, I
on
love
the
that.
floor.
I do kind of
and
dig
that
that.
comes in as it comes in at the very
As she
beginning.
revs the fucking concrete chainsaw, she's just like,
Well, and then of course why that song was originally written.
For good old
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wait,
Really?
what?
That song, Flashdance Maniac, was originally written for Texas Chainsaw
I
Massacre.
did not know that.
Swear to God, look it up.
Wait, and then they didn't use it, and they were
Look
like,
it up.
Well, I know the guy that
Look it
sings
up.
it.
Google
Right.
it,
Michael Cimbello is the guy that
Yeah.
that sings it, but he wasn't the dude that wrote it.
They wrote that for that movie, and
I just thought it was
didn't make the
Flashdance.
cut,
I thought that was just
and
straight up Flashdance.
They changed it. I mean, I don't know what the original sounded like, but it was originally written. He's a maniac, and yeah.
there's all first choice, chainsaw killer. Second choice, dances in a loft. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
was that your
Both good.
choice?
It wasn't. No,
Okay, I was gonna say.
the only song that popped in my brain was a little song by Madonna, "Crazy for You."
I'm crazy for you.
Yeah, so that's the song.
That's a good
in my
song.
brain.
Actually,
Good
don't.
song.
I haven't thought that song. in a
What
while.
if
I legit don't hate that.
this isn't This is not the ending. But what if she does? I touch myself.
If that's just playing random,
Oh,
she's
we
like,
could just. Why don't we just make it an all Madonna soundtrack?
That's
Fuck
not Madonna.
Muse.
That's
It's not Madonna, dude. But we could do that.
That's the vinyls.
Vinyls, yeah.
Yeah.
Vinyls, yeah.
I touch myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song actually.
Madonna doesn't have a masturbation song.
She
Oh,
touched
she has
herself
plenty
a lot.
of. Yeah.
No, it's all every album. Is,
Like a virgin.
Dude, I touched myself. That playing during that scene is just so
great.
out of control, wrong and funny. That's a good one.
what we're here for.
That's not a movie ending song. That's just a movie
no,
middle
I
song.
wanted to throw it in.
Perfect.
Movie beginner.
We have an extra. We have an extra masturbation segment where we have a song for the masturbation scene.
Oh yeah. So
Or-
anytime
yeah.
there's a masturbation scene, we got to alternate that song.
Alternatively, what if we have that playing when Uncle Skullfucker's in the thing, and then when the head drops out, it just cuts.
I touch myself.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Okay, it's late.
On that note,
On that note,
hey, are we gonna bring the
well,
Two Chicks in a Horror Flick back?
Yeah, we
got
should.
it.
They were
We're
awesome.
definitely going to. They were
So
super
great.
awesome. We
So-
really appreciate them coming on. This was a fun episode. Happy Halloween, everybody! Check your candy for meth and fucking cocaine.
Hey, check
Brad,
us
what do
out.
you got?
Check us out on the socials, as well as check out Two Chicks in a Horror Flick. They are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
Anywhere you can listen to
YouTube,
podcasts.
You can catch them anywhere. They are two fun ladies, and they've done 100+ episodes of great content. So check them out.
Now's the time to watch a scary movie if you guys are going to do it.
I'm not going to do it. So it's
Make
fine.
sure you watch it holding onto the penis of a burly cop. Okay.
He keeps saying hold on to a penis.
I just want Lieutenant Dan to listen to this.
I was just.
I
Holding
want
on, was holding on
Lieutenant Dan to
his
tell
gun
his
the whole
friends
time.
at work to be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, listen to this podcast," and then they listen to it, and then we just talk about him touching each other's dicks.
We did recommend it to a few people. I think. Or maybe we didn't even talk about it.
Fucking
at the time.
awesome.
I don't know.
But yeah, we were holding on to his gun belt. Okay, just
Yeah, don't make. Wait, why do you got to make it weird?
If that's what you want to call it. We'll be back next week with the draft. We love you guys. Bye-bye.
I wanna be at Beverly's, bringing me home with my movies. Just a blind ride, no reason why. I love this scene. Ignite, I can grab your favorite podcast. The star.